We don't listen like we used to. We barely hear what we want. We don't see what surrounds us like we used to. We just exist and wander around. We don't feel like we used to. We've allowed technology to interfere and take away the real, valuable things in life.
It's been over 2 decades of rapid technological growth. Years pass and technology keeps evolving as if it could never get enough. Certainly, new technological developments have expanded our limits and brought us closer together through a global network. Yet, equally true, technology has managed to deteriorate our closer relationships. Connecting with one another in the virtual world is making us disconnect with one another in the real world.
Has being on your phone ever affected your relationship?
Yes.
For sure. Well, sometimes when we speak to each other, it's like you're just on your phone and you don't even notice that you're actually on your phone without listening to the person who's actually speaking to you. And this goes from both parts.
I mean, I think it's miscommunication to me, and there's a lot.
This phenomenon is known as Technoference, a term invented by Professor of Family and Human Development, Brandon McDaniel. This concept explicitly refers to the interference of technology in interpersonal relationships and communication. The word's ancestry is clear. Techno means technological, and ference comes from interference. Interference, then, comes from interfere, and this word is originated from an Anglo-French word that means to strike one another.
When I'm hanging out with my friends and they're all on their phones, I feel kind of out of place and disconnected because we should be sharing those moments and just making memories. And everybody's kind of on their own bubble instead of sharing and talking, and I feel like that's really sad.
My siblings, all of my siblings, they listen to me, but sometimes they don't.
They're on his phone, and I'm just like, are you like paying attention to me? It's just really annoying to me.
We certainly strike one another whenever we feel ignored or ignore someone else, whenever we have to repeat ourselves or ask others to repeat themselves. And all this because we're too distracted by technological devices. To be more specific, fobbing is the type of technoference that stops us from paying attention to whoever we're next to. Call it a partner, a friend, a parent, a son, a coworker, client, or stranger.
That's kind of rude, and I have to admit that sometimes I do that, but not as much as the people that I'm surrounded with do it to me. For example, the other day I was with one of my cousins, and so I was sharing something important with her, and she was on her phone on Instagram. And when I just was done talking, she didn't pay attention to anything that I was saying.
Such technoference often jumpstarts a negative cycle, and this may hurt the relationship, drive down life satisfaction, and raise the risk for depression.
Who is on their phone more?
I can't tell you that.
I'm always like, Juan, can you please pay attention to me? When he's driving, he's on Instagram. When I'm talking to him, he gets on Instagram. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, baby.
That's not true. Me driving, I'm not on Instagram. I don't.
No, like when you're on the light, and I'm like.
Okay, when I'm on the light, but you're not even speaking to me. You're on your phone texting your friend.
No, I'm not. I'm like, baby, I'm trying
schedule.
to talk. I'm like, baby, I'm trying to talk to you, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, can you stop being on your phone? Oh, I'm sorry. I just got like distracted.
Okay, fine. I do have a tendency to grab my phone when I'm on a light, and I do it unconsciously.
Yes, you do.
She just grabs her phone and texts a lot of people, and just she answers the phone whenever she wants to. And whenever she gets called, she answers the phone. When she's with me and she's speaking to me, she just like, wait, hold on, and she answers. Which is nothing bad, but then again, it's like you're just interrupting me from talking to you because your friend texted you. Just give your friend a moment. Text her back later.
Further, Technoference can also affect us through texting, as the tendency of having important conversations via text leads to even more misunderstandings and poor communication.
Have you had misunderstandings through texting?
Yes, we have had very much
Plenty of them.
misunderstandings through text. Well, because maybe when I say something, when I try talking to him or I guess communicating, he just understands something that I didn't mean, and then that might become a discussion.
Or maybe it's just a lack of communication.
Yeah, it is a lack of communication.
And also the way you express yourself.
Yeah, for
within
sure.
the text.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Only 7% of a conversation relies on words, while the other 93% of the conversation is based on nonverbal communication.
Texting or talking in person?
I prefer talking in person because your body language and your emotions say a lot, and you can express yourself better when you're talking to someone.
Technoference, as it is, covers a broader aspect of technological interference in our daily life. A study demonstrated that the mere presence of a smartphone inhibited private conversations, as partners appear to be less willing to disclose their feelings unconsciously. Technoference creates barriers to establishing new relationships and maintaining our current ones, inhibiting us from being present with everything and everyone.
Sometimes when I'm watching something with my headphones on, I have the volume a little bit too high, and when my parents or my siblings are calling for something, I don't hear them.
How many hours per day do you spend on your phone?
Let me check. Por ejemplo, déjame ver si. 8 hours and 40 minutes per day. Oh my god.
Technoference is damaging our capacity to connect with the real world. We become more insensitive, self-absorbed, and oblivious when we let technology control us. But we can acquire self-control to properly manage technology so that technology works in our favor instead of interfering with our communication.
Sometimes I do understand that like he has to do some stuff, so I understand, but most of the time it's like annoyed at the fact that he doesn't pay attention to me or he just ignores me.
Sometimes there's no actual conversation going on, like nothing too important to talk about. Just listen to music, vibing, and then she shows me something on the phone. I think that's actually pretty cute and pretty nice. However, when we're having a conversation and it's important and it's just something that needs to be talked about, then the phone needs to be off. Like, it needs to go away.
Well, in certain cases, like waiting with your parents or doing something, running errands with them, I do like it when I have an electronic on me, like my phone, so I can keep distracted and the time goes by. But when I don't, I usually carry a game, like an actual board game, not a big one, but like a little one. It's like a puzzle, and if I don't have that, then I usually have a book that I read.
We can learn not to rely on our phones for entertainment, but also have a book or journal at hand. We can create the habit of putting away our phones when spending quality time with others. And we could also choose to text one another only if necessary and leave the serious topics for another time. We can begin by becoming more conscious and organized with our screen time.
Let's not let technology interfere with cultivating our relationships and living a life that is real and fulfilling. Let's connect face to face, soul to soul, like we used to. That way, we will truly listen, see, and feel those that surround us.